How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours talking pro wrestling. We've got Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly here, and we're going to have Tom Zenk up in about a half an hour as well. We'll be taking your phone calls as well as your emails, and we got a lot of wrestling news to talk about. And I guess we will start with SmackDown last night, and I thought that was a tremendous television show and an awesome main event. And, I guess that it's better to have a good show than a bad show. And when the rating came in, I was kind of depressed because even though it's too soon for these ratings to turn around, I mean, it took them, I don't know, they went down 7 straight weeks, and there's a lot of momentum in that direction. The fact is no matter how anybody slices this, there was no competition on TV last night. And, the reason that the numbers of SmackDown went down was because of Survivor and Friends, and there is no Survivor anymore, and Friends is in reruns and only did like an 8.0 rating, and nobody did a big rating, so there is no reason why WWF did a 3.9 last night other than it's a very cold product. So, anyway, Brian, what's going on?
That's really depressing, actually. We should do a poll one of these days and ask fans, when you're a big wrestling fan and the product is really hot and there's something on another channel, say Survivor, that runs head-to-head with wrestling, what do? Do you tape wrestling and watch the other show? Do you watch wrestling and tape the other show? Or how exactly do you do it? I just really want to know how much the competition really affects the wrestling shows.
Okay, but this is the absolute wrong audience to do that for. The audience you do that for is for the people that watch wrestling every now and then. You know what I mean? It's like we're the 3.9. Okay, it's the people who were the 5.0. It's that 1.1 that used to be the 3.9 that made a 5. Those are the people you got to poll for all of these questions on why they're not watching. I mean, like polling us on why people aren't watching. You can't ask us; we're still watching. Although, I mean, I could say that I probably would have gotten.
We do have a lot of people, I think, that listen to this show that have kind of they've given up on watching every single show.
True. No, you're right. And if people, this is a good question. Email in. If you were someone who religiously watched, if you were part of the 4.5 to 5.0 that watched SmackDown and the 5.0 that watched Raw, and you did not watch Monday or Thursday, what will it take to get you back, or are you just out of the habit, or that's actually a really good question.
And there's a lot of good feedback on the site, by the way, because we did ask the question yesterday. What can wrestling do differently? Actually, Dave can probably tell you what the question was better than I could because he wrote it. But we have a lot of responses up in the feedback section today.
Yeah, the question that I asked was on the feedback section on the website was for WCW. If you were a WCW fan, what would it take to get you to watch this relaunch, and are you going to watch it? And I'll tell you what, when I read the result, when I read a lot of the letters, the thing that was bad is that this is my thought on most of it, is that the people who watched WCW were a dwindling number of people who longed for the past and wanted it to go backwards to the past, like Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. And unfortunately, while there is probably a lot of people of a certain age group that would like that, they're kind of set in their ways and it's hard to get them back. They've kind of given up on wrestling. And in the new age group, it's just... It's hard to go. Do you know what I'm saying?
To go backwards.
I looked at those WCW responses, and the sense I got was the people that were watching WCW and not WWF at the end were the people that were just so loyal, and they kept bringing up Jim Crockett. Okay, like the Jim Crockett days and Ric Flair, and it was like, that was like 13 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It'd be like if It's like a TV show that passed its peak and everything like that. And there was so much mention of Ric Flair. And, you can't, Ric Flair always meant a big deal in the ratings for WCW when he was a babyface and pushed. But you can't rely on Ric Flair at his age for anything other than, like, garnish. I mean, like, believe me, Ric Flair, Bill Goldberg, I like that combination. I like that whole chemistry. But, the odds are they're not going to have Ric Flair. And if you can't make it without Ric Flair in the long run, you can't make it because, how much longer can Ric Flair be out there?
Yeah. Well, he could actually be out there a long, long time. But as an active competitor, not very long.
But how long will this dwindling number of people want to watch wrestling to see an aging Ric Flair before their eyes. I mean, you know how many people were so depressed at that angle with Kevin Nash, which was pure stupidity when it happened. But it's like, but sooner or later, when Ric Flair gets to be 55, 56, I mean, you know, it's like Dick the Bruiser. You know what I mean? It's like sooner or later, Dick the Bruiser drew even when he was in his 52, but by the time he was like 56, it was kind of like even those Dick the Bruiser fans were like, yeah, goddamn, Dick's old. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you were seeing him in the ring, you know, in his underwear, as opposed to, you know, Ric Flair looking stately in his suit, being a television performer. He can go for another 10, 15 years. He really can. 15?
You want to see Ric Flair when he's 65 out there cutting promos?
You know what? I do. I really do.
Okay. You know what? After watching the promos last night, you know, one of the things, as great as Steve Austin's promo was, the one thing I was thinking was, you know what? That was a very good promo, but it was not as good as a Ric Flair promo. I don't know why that thought came into my head, but when it was over, it was like, that's what it was. It was like, wow, he's just not... You know, like when Ric Flair would have those promos and you just go, man, that was awesome, and you just call up your friends and go, what an awesome promo. I mean, Steve Austin's promo that's a pretty damn good promo.
Yeah.
So, now Kurt Angle, with that line about, what is the Saved by the Bell, whoever wrote that deserves some sort of an award this week for
I am the biggest Kurt Angle fan in the entire world. Don't even bother writing emails saying that you're bigger, because we're not going to read them here on the air. He was so awesome last night, and every single thing that he did, from his promo to the match, just everything.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
That was good. And then that tape...
You know, I have a friend, in fact, it's Shoulders Torelli, and young Shoulders broke into the business at the same time as Kurt Angle, and he usually comes over to watch SmackDown with me, and every Thursday night without fail, I just have to say, Vince, you know that Kurt Angle's been in the business as long as you, and he gets very depressed. But it's true.
Yeah, he's been in the business basically shorter than you, right, Brian?
Yes, he has. It's quite depressing.
It's not depressing. He's just a freak. What can we say? The poll we had here, by the way, on who should move to the WF number 2 heel slot, even though this poll was tampered with, as they all are, unfortunately, even if it wasn't, everybody still voted for Kurt Angle, so I'll just say that. What's today's poll? Well, before I get on that, that's what's the best TV match of the year, I think it was. Let me see. I don't have it in front of me. I don't have it in front of me. Anyways, it was the best TV match of the year for WWF. We have the tables, ladders, and chairs match.
Guys, I have the poll right here. It's Benoit.
Go ahead.
Benoit versus Jericho ladder match. Rock versus Triple H, 2 out of 3 falls. Benoit versus Angle.
No, not Rock. It's Austin versus
Triple H.
Austin Triple H, 2 out of 3 falls.
All right, you have Rock versus Triple H. So
okay, I made a mistake.
I will change that then.
Okay, the 2 out of 3 fall match from the pay-per-view, yeah.
Okay, Benoit versus Angle at WrestleMania. Benoit Jericho versus Austin and Triple H. And TLC from SmackDown.
Okay, so those are the 5 choices. What other stuff do we got here?
I think that was the scariest TLC match that I've ever seen last night.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, they didn't fly over the top rope, off a ladder, through a table or anything like that, but just some of the stuff they did was so scary. That twist of fate that Devon took off the ladder, that dude almost landed head first, like vertically. He would have been done for. I couldn't believe Bubba Ray took a snap suplex onto a ladder. A ladder!
I've seen that one done. Sandman used to take that on guardrails.
Oh, my God. A guardrail is one thing. This is a ladder. Sharp edges and everything.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
I thought that was an excellent match. I don't know. Do you think it was better than the WrestleMania match? I thought it was as good. Maybe he told a better story.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to watch the WrestleMania match again. There was kind of something about the finish there. I mean, it really was a great story, but it was like they did the spear off the ladder, and it took so long from that spot for having Benoit get up to the top that they kind of lost the crowd for a minute. But they got back into it when Benoit got the belts. But I don't know. I'd have to watch that WrestleMania one again.
There's a lot of stuff going on for Monday night in Calgary, and I'm not aware of all of it, other than I know that a lot of the Hearts are pining to be on television Monday, and I think Stu's going to end up on TV Monday night. So, which means some sort of an angle. I mean, I don't know what it means. I just got a feeling Stu's... I've been told, and I'll know more... We'll have more stuff. I have a feeling we'll have a lot more on the Calgary show on the website by Monday, but yeah, I think Stu's going to be on TV Monday night. And
that's very weird. You know what I mean? For some reason, I just never thought I would see Stu Hart on WWF TV again. Ever. Nothing to do with his age. Just, never thought I'd see it.
I think the deal is that it's time to make amends. And I also think that Stu, if he has any mixed feelings about it, it's that if it can do anything to help Bruce get a job or get in better standing with the WWF, because the Stampede guys, they want to be that developmental territory, and if WWF asks Bruce, hey, can we have this favor in exchange for any favor, your firstborn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bruce is going to do everything he can to get it, and the lawsuit is over, and strange things. Hey, I never thought they were going to call up Scott Hall and ask him to be a Judgment Day. You know what I mean? When ratings go down, strange things happen, and enemies become friends. And anything that can draw money becomes an option, even if 7 weeks ago it was something that in a million years could never happen. So.
How about that for the new WWF catchphrase? Anything can happen in the WWF when the ratings plummet. Do you think they put that on TV?
The first half.
I was surprised.
I don't know if they're going to go in there.
On TV last night.
What? The signs on TV last night?
Some of the signs that got on TV last night.
You know what I didn't like about and this has happened the last time I went to SmackDown. You know what I find and I guess when you're a fan and you go there, a lot of people complain about hating to go to TV tapings because of the signs. And when I was watching, it's one thing like at the opportune time or between matches you hold up your sign or something, but it got to this point watching that thing where everybody, they weren't there to watch matches, although the crowd response was very good in L.A. It was one of those crowds that they were there so their friends can see them on TV and they can watch themselves on TV Thursday night, because every time the camera would go, you'd see everyone hold up their sign, and then as soon as the camera would pan away from them, they put their sign down and watch the matches. It was I've seen that on many TVs before, but it was, for some reason, it was more so in L.A. or Anaheim, actually, than usual. Very weird. I want to make a couple of things. First of all, the June 30th San Francisco show was canceled due to low ticket sales. And there's a bunch of reasons, but, that was basically... Now, the July 1st show in Spokane that a lot of sites are listing as canceled is not canceled, according to the WWF. And that's as of, 5 minutes before the show started. So that July 1st Spokane is still on, but June 30th in San Francisco is off. Yesterday, Judge Denny Chin, in a U.S. District Court in New York, refused to dismiss the WWF's lawsuit against the PTC, James Lewis, and everybody else. Basically, PTC tried to... What?
He had not read the lawsuit.
Who hasn't read? What do you mean?
The judge.
The judge hasn't read the lawsuit? He must have read the lawsuit.
I was just looking at that lawsuit, and we were talking about it as, how could this lawsuit have even gotten to court? Some of the things they were alleging in there. And the fact that he did not dismiss it, I think, is kind of strange.
Well, basically there's a couple of key points in there that, kept it going, and it's like, they've got, you have freedom of speech in this world, especially when it has to do with, public figures, and WWF is a public company, Vince McMahon is a public figure, that are pretty broad, but you can't lie. There's no protection against outright lying. And what the judge saw, in the two points I think that the judge saw was the claim of 35 to 40 sponsors having pulled out, which is just not an accurate number. It's an inflated number. And I know that usually, in most cases, they were pretty careful saying that these companies had agreed not to sponsor and not actually say, it's the misleading thing.
Yeah.
But I guess there must have been spots here and there where they forgot that they were misleading and actually made a statement, and you can't really do that. And the other one is any kind of attribution of certain deaths to SmackDown when the deaths of those kids occurred before SmackDown had ever aired its first episode. That's a pretty tough one. And I think that those were the two. If it wasn't for those 2 points, I think he would have thrown the whole thing out. And the other point that he made was that a lot of these statements were made by Bozell for fundraising purposes, so they were commercial statements. They were not, it's one thing if you're like a political group and you're protesting abortions, okay? It's another if you are out there and you are using certain facts to raise, basically to raise money for yourself. And, you know what I mean? There's a commercial, it's both. Is it a moral cause or a commercial cause? And the judge felt that because they were doing it in fundraising videos and the nature of what they were doing it constituted commercial venture. So some of the protection, some of the rival protection of a commercial venture is not as strong as as a non-commercial venture. So, anyway, the lawsuit's going to keep going. WWF sent out press releases on that. And what other stuff do we got here? Let's see, we got the ratings. Mark Coleman.
Hunter is out 6 months.
Hunter's out. That's right. Hunter's surgery. He's going to be out. He's going to be out 6 months. And
in wrestling, that is 6 years.
Yeah, Brian, do you think he should be off TV the whole 6 months? I kind of have my mental picture of what they should do, especially after watching TV.
I don't know. See, the thing is, they're kind of building towards a Steve Austin turn right now, and if they wait 6 months to put him back on TV, people are going to totally forget.
I thought they were building, Brian, I think they're building towards a Hunter turn, not a Steve Austin
that's
turn.
what I mean, Austin turning on Hunter. I think
okay.
What they should probably do, why not put him on TV for a little while now, and then just have Austin absolutely decimate him, and he's off TV till he comes back.
I could see him coming back. I think that they need to get a report on Raw Monday, showing like the operation, showing all this, so we establish
showing an X-ray of Paraguayo's neck.
Yeah. I mean, I think that he has to be on TV, not live in the building, but tapes, for a couple of weeks. I think the idea of come into the building once and then just getting destroyed is a great idea. But then he can't be around for a while. Because if he's there after recuperation and he's like doing, he's there like in 4 to 6 weeks and he's part of the storyline, but he can't wrestle, I think it'll really dilute his return. And then keep him away and have the people just want him to come back and get Stephanie. I think that it's time for them to do an angle where Stephanie ends up with Kurt Angle. And, it's just got to be a strong thing. So when Hunter comes back, to me, where I see this is that, you get Kurt Angle to feud with someone and Shamrock's name's out there. I think that's like actually, if Shamrock is ready and can do it, I think that's a pretty natural program because he's new and he's fresh. I got a feeling it may be someone from WCW, just being what they did on Monday, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some WCW. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe a WCW person or two on Monday night, or certainly within a few weeks. We know we're going to see him. But I would like to see, some new guy feuding. I could see that. Okay, let's say it's, how's this one? I mean, because if it's a WCW guy with Shane in the corner against Angle with Stephanie, you got the family thing. I almost don't like that because they've done so much of the family that I almost don't want to see it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if that was in a booking meeting, I think that would have a better chance of.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're not going to have Stephanie. They're going to build it up if she ends up with Kurt Angle. And if they're they're already building up Shane and Angle right now, and they can't hold that off 3 months while they get Stephanie ready. And if they rush Stephanie to Kurt Angle, it's going to make no sense. She's been married to Hunter for a year and a half now.
No, I think that they should do it
pretty. 1 week thing.
I think that they should do it. No, not a 1 week thing, but I think they should do it and get it there and establish those two together and establish that she double crossed Hunter because they got to break up that thing anyway. And it's overdue for breaking up. And with him not being there, it's the perfect time to do it for her to be a heel because, everyone will now have sympathy. Like before it'd be like, pussy, you lost your wife. That's why neither of them would ever break up. You know what I'm saying? Now he's gone. I think that people would have great sympathy for it if she dumped him then. And they would
hurt
really.
His leg, he lost his girl.
Yep. And then he's ready to come back, and people will feel it when he comes back on Kurt. And then you still got the Kurt Triple H Angle when he comes back, let's say in October, November, and you can do that for a couple of
again.
This time he has to though, because you're building up to Mania, because the timing's going to work for Mania where you go with that's provided Rock's not around and all that. Hunter and Austin, but that's okay if it's the right thing with Hunter as a babyface, and you can hold off that match, for a long, long time. In fact, one of our first emails is going to be about OV Wrestling, Ohio Valley. I want to make mention Saturday night it's actually Sunday technically, but Saturday night our time is the Pride Show, and it's quite an interesting lineup. You got any thoughts on the lineup? Any predictions? We can actually predict this.
I have no predictions. I just haven't watched enough.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go and make a fool of myself. Fujita Takayama, going to go with Fujita. Igor Vovchanchin, Gilbert Ibel.
Igor.
Yeah, you know what? That one could go either way, but yeah. Vanderlei Silva against Shingo Oyama. I'm going to take the easy way, which is say Vanderlei Silva. Dan Henderson against Akira Shoji. Dan Henderson. Vitor Belfort, Heath Herring. Valentin Overeem against Gary Goodridge. Valentin Overeem. Guy Metzger versus Chuck Liddell. I've been going back and forth on this one. You have seen these two guys.
Chuck Liddell.
Chuck Liddell? Guy Metzger. Pele versus Daijiro Matsui, Pele, and Johil de Oliveira against Antonio Schembri. I'll go with Schembri on this one. So anyway, there was another thing having to do with that. Mark Coleman showed up for the Pride show, and he had his two belts. It's so weird. You know how come we talk about Pride being pro wrestling? It's reasons like this. He shows up with his Pride World Heavyweight title belt and his WWF World Martial Arts title belt, which has nothing to do with the WWF, although it did in 1978, and when the belt first came up and Antonio Inoki held it. And he challenged Kazuyuki Fujita, who's on the main event of Pride, to a match for Fujita's 2 IWGP title belts, which will take place.
What a shocker.
Yeah. We've been talking about this. This was like how this whole thing's going to go together. Now, the thing is, if Fujita first is wrestling Yuji Nagata on June 6th at Budokan Hall. So basically, Coleman did not challenge Fujita as much as he challenged the winner of the Fujita-Nagata match, which makes sense in that Coleman and Nagata worked on New Year's Eve in a pro wrestling style tag team match and actually had a match that would be a miracle, I guess, except that Yuji Nagata's in it, so it probably wasn't a miracle because, hell, Mark Coleman's better than Vince Russo, and, Yuji Nagata's probably better than Ric Flair, so we've seen better, more examples of, better examples of miracles than that. But they're looking at doing that either July at the Sapporo Dome or October at the Tokyo Dome. The Coleman match with either Fujita and Nagata, where the winner will be the world champion not only of the shoot world but the worked world all at the same time, which is quite a coup.
You want to know my prediction?
Yes.
Dissecting Antonio Inoki's brain.
Can you do that?
Fujita is going to have the titles going to his match with Coleman, and they will have a real fight for those belts. Why?
No.
Because I don't think Inoki even cares which guy wins all the titles. But I think that he wants a real fight with all those belts on the line for a real world champion.
Not on a New Japan card.
Doesn't matter where.
I mean, if it was on a Pride show, I would be skeptical, but not on a New Japan show. If it's on a New Japan show, it's going to be a work match.
I will stand by my prediction.
Okay, but what's really weird...
Seriously, I really think that'll happen.
Well, in its own way, that would be Inoki's ultimate dream, wouldn't it?
Yep.
That he turned pro wrestling, he turned this pro wrestling into real sport. And he made that world title real. Which he... If Coleman were to beat either Fujita... Okay, put it this way. If it's Nagata, there's no way. They're not going to put Nagata in a shoot. Not that
That's why
not
Fujita
that he's not a
will
tough...
win.
Okay. But if it's Fujita... Boy. Okay, Coleman and Fujita, and Coleman wins. Does that make the IWGP belt real? And it sort of does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Coleman would have...
And then who cares what he does from there, but he'll just have that.
But then Coleman has to lose to who? Like Nagata or Nakanishi or somebody like that. Eventually. Eventually that IWGP belt's got to go back to New Japan, and it's got to be in work matches again.
Yeah.
I think they give Coleman a win.
This is a perfect opportunity. He can do his dream. He can get it over with and get it out of his system and go back to wrestling. No,
he'll never get it out of his... If it works, he'll never get it out of his system. He'll keep trying to repeat it. You know how that goes in wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if there's any other notes here as far as news go. Let's go to some emails. Do you know how ticket sales are going for UFC 32? The last I checked, they were not doing very well. This is from Jason Campbell, who went to Ohio Valley the last couple of days. He goes... I had the opportunity to attend the OVW shows on Tuesday and Wednesday. After watching their TV for the past 10 months, it was nice to see a couple of live shows. Tuesday night was a weekly show at St. Teresa's Gym. I was disappointed that there were only about 50 fans there, but if 300 people had showed up, you would have had to have parked a mile away. The guys all worked hard. I never heard one guy calling spots. The Wednesday show was the TV taping from the Davis Arena, which should be called the Davis Warehouse. I mean, that place is tiny. He goes, it was another entertaining evening. I think they have a few guys who were definitely going to make it. Shelton Benjamin and Randy Orton for sure. I'm pretty sure about Rico Constantino, Leviathan, Ron Waterman, John Cena, and Mike Hard. Really? I watched Ohio Valley last night, and I am not... Mike Hard lacks charisma. He goes, I'm not sure about Brock Lesnar. He seemed to be missing something, but he did look great. I enjoyed the local guys, too. Rob Conway, Nick Dinsmore, Flash, Damager, Jason Lee, Johnny Spade, and especially Doug Basham are all good wrestlers. The only negative on these guys is size. Conway and Basham have good physiques, but there is a very distinct difference between the guys with the big WWF deals and the ones with the smaller WWF deals or none at all when it comes to the physiques. What is he trying to say? I think we know what that is. If WCW was still around as a distinct entity, some of the guys would have a much better shot at making it. If you compare this promotion to other indies I've seen, it blows them away. There weren't any matches where you couldn't wait for the match to be over. If you're looking for a lot of spectacular moves and a lot of brawling in the crowd, this is not the promotion for you.
Big Show and Mark Henry must not have been on that card.
Big Show wasn't. Yeah, I know. Some of those Mark Henry.
I watched it.
Oh, both of those. The Mark Henry. Did you ever see the Mark Henry match with Russ McCullough, the loser leave town?
No. That
match was horrible. I mean, by any standard. I'm so not sold on Russ McCullough. And the funny thing is he may be in the WWF before any of them just because he's 6'10". The TV tapings are free and the house shows are reasonably priced. Some of the baby faces are available for autographs and pictures during intermission. And I guess if you hung around a while after the show, the heels would be too. I recommend that anyone in the area attend their shows on a regular basis. If you're a few hours away, it's still a good road trip. You could see shows on Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, all in Louisville, and hit Six Flags on Monday. Okay. Got a lot of compliments. I'm not going to read them all, but about the show yesterday, I thought Max Payne was tremendous yesterday. That was awesome. A really awesome, really entertaining show. Someone who was asking about if we could get Steve Regal on, we will. Oh, we already got Tom Zenk on the line. Let me just go through one more, and then we'll get to Tom. Do you think the WF will go get Rob Van Dam? Yeah. Rob Van Dam will almost for sure be in. I guess we can answer that one simply. Tom, how are you doing today?
Wonderful. Who's booking in the WWF? This is the first time the guys at work have even started talking about wrestling again.
Wow. What, Monday and Thursday?
You got it. I heard from my boss today. He's a big mark, and he likes wrestling. And they said about Benoit, he dove off into a table and stuff. It was great stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Awesome main event last night, yeah.
That's what I heard. Now, they're turning the corner? Is that what they're doing?
I don't know what they're. It's in a state of flux. When I'm always someone
if you have friends talking, that's a good thing. But as far as the rating, it hasn't turned around yet.
Yeah,
the rating didn't turn around.
5?
3.9.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Holy smokes! He's in trouble, huh?
It just depends on. I tell you what, the whole future depends on if he makes a hit out of the relaunch of WCW. Mm-hmm. Because interpromotional, interpromotional almost always works real big. Mm-hmm. But if he blows it, they're in trouble. And if he doesn't blow it, then, they may have another NWO on their hands if it's done right. So, I see this one going either way. It's going to either be a big hit or it's going to be a big flop. I don't know which it'll be, but I think that we're going to know in 6 to 8 weeks a lot about the next year of the business.
I read something that Linda said it was going to start in 2 or 3 weeks. Is that just a swerve for their investors? Because the way I look at it, he didn't broaden his base with the XFL, right? The booking's getting a bit stale, except for this last week. So why doesn't he just bite the bullet? Everyone wants to see Goldberg against Austin. Austin doesn't have all that much time left. Triple H, how serious is that injury? Now, that to the bone?
Torn quad. He had big surgery yesterday, and he's out 6 months.
Oh, my goodness. But in a positive way...
Tom, because you've been around... Yeah. How familiar are you with a fully torn quad? Because that's a rare injury. Fully torn... I've heard of partial tears, but a fully torn quad?
Well, some guys, when they're so big like that and you get older, your muscle gets brittle. When you're older.
He's only 31.
He's only 31 or 32.
Does he take anabolic steroids? That might have something to do with it.
Oh, come on now.
I don't know. Well, what I'm saying is I know guys that have been on the juice, and I'm not saying he is, but I know that they tend to blow tendons and rip biceps, and that's one of the bad things that it does do.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. Well, talking about that the other day.
Huh?
Well, I think that, in most cases, there's certain injuries, like torn abdominals, torn pecs, and torn quads. And torn triceps.
Yep.
That almost always are go with the steroid guys. Whereas I've seen guys that never did steroids. In fact, almost every friend of mine that hasn't done steroids has at one point or another had partially torn biceps. I think that you just tend to, because of ego, you overload them, and then and it's small muscle.
Yep.
But the quad, the torn quad. And that's a bad one. That's a hard one to recover from.
I think he'll be out quite a while like that, and then you have to rehab it, and then you're going to have to put that size. It's a big deal, like not as bad as Austin with the neck, but maybe he can come back, but that's not for sure. So I say bite the bullet. Vince is a risk taker. Get Goldberg. Sign up everyone. Get DDP. Sign them all. He pissed away $76 million. He's got to do something fast. So NBC, his big shareholders, don't dump him. He's got to grow the business. Bite the bullet. That's what made him big anyway. He took risks. Take a risk and get these guys. Jack it. There's no competition. So you send Heyman and you send Shane down there, and you let them go nuts. And if it fails in WCW, you write it off. It's WCW, and you try and have two companies, and like Pepsi and Coke. It both grows. The other one gets a rating. There's two things. There's not just one target, the WWF. Let Heyman go mental down there. Let him go nuts. Electrocute someone, hang by their thumbs.
No, you can't go that far because you don't want to kill your advertisers because the advertisers will pull out of both.
You know what I'm saying? Is you have Shock TV. Look what he's in the ECW like product, but have it a little crazy, and then you have an invasion. You have crossover. You have two shows. That's what I'd do.
You know what would be the greatest thing that could possibly happen to wrestling right now is if Vince were sitting in a meeting and he was trying to negotiate a time slot for WCW, and they just said, look, if you don't have Goldberg and you don't have Ric Flair, we're not going to talk. Then Vince would be, Vince would be able to say, look, guys, I got to pay this guy $6 million. I have no choice or we have no TV. And he'd have a scapegoat right there.
Bite the bullet. That's right. He doesn't have to. He runs over people. What's he afraid of his locker room? They work for him. Who signs a paycheck? Vince is the boss, right?
I'll tell you the other thing. I don't know.
You need him.
7 weeks ago things would have been different, but I think right now a lot of those guys would welcome Bill Goldberg because I think they would know that it means, in the long run, it means money for everyone.
Of course.
I think they would think that. I could be wrong because I haven't discussed that with anyone there, but.
Well, they can't be that stupid, can they? I mean, come on. I mean, the Chris's and I would think they didn't have any fresh ideas. So the internet people, they want to see Chris, Benoit, Jericho, push them. He doesn't have a strong next tier to come up. He hasn't grown anyone. They're going to be fighting for spots, so broaden it out. Have Paul Lee. Change is good. Competition is good. That's what he ought to do. Just bite the bullet. So what? He runs the show. He's got his crew up there. And then you send Shane and them, they come up with some different ideas, a totally different product. And if he fails, he just puts it on WCW, closes it down. But you got to make back that money that you lost, right?
You know what? One thing, I do like the idea of a different concept rather than like having both groups do WWF style wrestling.
No, you can't. No.
So I think I agree with you. You really want to do a different form. I mean, it's pro wrestling. You're still in the ring, but you want it to look different. And then when you do the interpromotional, it's like you're fighting styles. You're going like our style is better than your style when we're mixing.
Yeah.
It adds an element rather than like.
What made me mad is Vince has given away those WCW rings, which means the WCW show is going to have the WWF rings. I think it's a mistake.
I do too because then it's because you want that different look, don't you think?
Yeah, you need a totally different look, a new set, different lighting, a different Titantron, a different ramp, everything.
Well, I mean, they've got the show. I mean, they've always had a better production. You know what I mean? It's always looked better. You probably got a point there. Yeah, but I'm sure they could get it back. Who's got the rings? Wrestlers?
I think he gave something like Terry Taylor.
Terry Taylor, I heard, yeah.
Dusty get one.
Terry Taylor's
been all over.
He's sold. Get the rings back. I mean, I'm sure he would have got something with Terry Taylor. Why doesn't he hire him anyway? He was always a great worker.
You can always, the thing is, you can always
make
a
different canvas and different color ropes.
Yeah, you can always make new rings and just make them, or even old rings and make them look different, with a different design. So it's not like giving away those rings into the world or anything.
Yeah, but I don't know.
But I see it more as an indication that he's thinking this needs to be very similar to the WWF product.
Well, he was. Of course, I'll tell you, he was. That's what they were thinking 7 weeks ago. Everyone is, I think everyone had a thought process 7 weeks ago of what this was going to be, and now all of a sudden, everyone's got a different thought process, but they're not the same because, it's like, like what you said, the big saying, Brian, when the ratings go down,
Yep.
Then they start to squirm.
Well, then everyone's got their thinking caps on what you're going to do. When ratings are great, you just kind of coast, which is probably kind of what happened, is that they coasted. And the one thing you can't do is with this audience now is obviously you can't coast, and also, hindsight being 20/20, the Austin turn with Rock being gone, the timing was all wrong, and Undertaker's top babyface it was too aged of a look. It didn't work.
Yeah.
And
I think one of the things about the Austin heel turn was, you had this built up for so long. Steve Austin, the babyface, he does his big comeback. He's getting his big match at WrestleMania. You get 1 million people buying this show, and what do they get at the end? Their hero turns bad. I mean, it's got to have turned just tons of people off.
Yeah, I was just waiting for the Montreal finish coming for him, huh? I mean, really, what guys at work said they fired it. Oh, God. Geez. They've already seen him be, it's like, and then they did it where? In Texas. He's like, what? Are you giving him the hint? Was there a pink slip in the check? I mean, he's got a bad neck. What's their planning? I don't see it.
Yeah, but, I tell you what, they need him.
I know,
they need him bad.
For 3 years, don't you think it's like one guy, they wanted to see him against Goldberg. That's the whole key. And Flair, too. Flair knows how, come on, brand names. It takes a long time, like the XFL, to build brand names, they said. And I don't know how you guys missed that scoop that they pulled the plug on Vince, right? I said it yesterday. Andrew Lack, the new head of NBC, it was on CBS Market Watch. He dumped him. He came in 2 days later, you're done. He dumped the XFL.
Well, NBC had to dump him. They had no choice.
Of course.
The thing that killed the league was UPN when they dumped him too.
Oh, the media, yeah. Don't you like? Yeah, it's always someone else. Ted Turner's a billionaire.
Hey, what's the deal with how's Jesse handling all this? Because the stuff that I heard Jesse was because Vince didn't blame the media, but Jesse sure did.
Yeah. He blamed the media, but isn't that, didn't Jesse, okay, I like Jesse, he was always nice to me, but, he turned the feds on me, that's Tom Zenk, he just quit and left. I mean, he knew him better than me, sat next to him and talked, all the time, but Jesse I'm sure he was just taking the line about the media. The media, what are they going to back some, fringe thing when you trash the NFL? I mean, look at the storied history of it, I'm sure he was going along with Vince's line. I'm sure he got paid good money, didn't he?
Jesse was the highest paid guy in that company by far.
Exactly, but what I'm wondering is, he got over $1 million. He had a lawsuit about a contract dispute because of all the tapes and stuff, right? And then
just over $1 million, yeah.
And then with interest in that, and then all of a sudden he's working for him again. So I mean, who's signing the checks? Why didn't he go out and get some other governor, right?
Well, you both know why. Well, first of all, the other governors would not have done it.
Of course, that's the whole point. I'm just ribbing, but I mean, we got to help Vince. I think he needs our help. And the listeners, too, I mean, come up with some ideas, because I don't think he has a plan.
Yes, please.
Linda, I mean, really, it's desperate, okay? He almost killed a child, the payoffs, I bet we're getting worse, right? Didn't the guys say the payoffs? I think Merrick told me that the payoffs were going down, right? When he started the XFL?
I think that's what I've heard, and I think that was sort of inevitable that was going to happen. What happened during the bodybuilding?
Exactly. That's what I heard, too. That's the whole point. He's been a failure at everything except the business Daddy gave him. But the point is, he needs help to get the money back, to get the ball rolling. What's his plans? What, is he going to have some TV show, or does he have some kind of stuff for TV? Got
that TV show with John Cena.
A reality
Manhunt,
TV show, right?
Tough Enough.
Yeah, and he's talking about movies, correct?
Talking about movies. Yep.
That's pretty desperate stuff to me, right? You think it's
the movie scares me to death.
Exactly. Now, do you think that the big institutional investors are marks? I don't think so. Look at
they are. And 2 years ago, when wrestling was through the roof, I think they would have really been behind it. But the problem is that wrestling is not perceived as being through the roof. And
when's General Electric going to dump their shares, huh? They got
they probably
they got a couple million, $2 million,
$30 million worth of stock there, roughly.
Yeah.
This one I got to read. It's from Jeff O'Farrell, who said, in response to Max Payne's suggestion last night that pro wrestling should be incorporated in high schools, here are the 10 reasons why it will never happen. Number 10, when anyone gets in trouble and is sent to the principal's office, they now have an excuse. They can always say, it's just a work. That sounds like something Pillman would do. Everything he did, it's just a work.
Pillman, you had to bring him up. Okay, go on.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Kids would sign loser leave school matches and then actually follow the stipulation. Titantron are too expensive for the athletic department budget. Administrators would get concerned when the average weight of the males goes up 30 pounds per person. The faculty would fear that the misspelled signs in the crowd would hurt the image of the credibility of the school. The phone calls about my kid's not doing a job for your kid would get counterproductive. This is great.
Yeah, he's a sick guy. You got to have this guy on or have some comedy stuff.
Yeah, it's too hard on students to worry about selling an entry all day long in lunch, at class, and walking the halls. 3, students don't want to be referred to as either jobbers or ring rats. Number 2, since the teachers would naturally have to be the heels in all teacher versus student feuds, the teacher would have to fail everyone in class to keep kayfabe going.
Oh, my.
And number 1, can you imagine 30 kids in a classroom all speaking Carney? That was brilliant. Let's see. This is someone who says, Hunter should come back within the next couple of weeks in a wheelchair. Some of the mid-card wrestlers should inquire about the extent of his injury and wish him well. Austin should come out, pretending to be his friends, and suddenly start beating the hell out of him. Stephanie should be there to witness it, but before she can react one way or another, Kurt Angle, grabs her and escorts her away. I like that. You like that? Nobody likes that. Okay.
No.
Since Austin already said he hated him, so...
Who said he hated him?
Yes.
Austin.
Said he hated who? Oh.
He said he hated Hunter.
Oh. Well, I think they ought to go with... Didn't you say something one time, Dave, that timing is everything? I think the timing is right now. They ought to start the battle plan. It's summer months coming. No one goes indoors to arenas. So you push them to Chris's, right? And they're going with that. But Vince is eventually going to go back to the big guys on top. They'll have their little run here, right? That's to satisfy the net people. Then, Rock's making movies, right? Austin's got a bad neck. Undertaker, he's pretty banged up, right? Triple H is injured. So just go with the flow. But get all these guys from WCW. Who cares? He's a billionaire. What's $6 million? Flair?
Well, the thing is with the...
Flair just wants to be around the business. What, you want to work for Dusty down at the Double Wide down there? Well, what
He
is
would
it?
still have $244 million remaining if he just got Goldberg.
Exactly, Brian. Yeah, that's spend the money. He's taking risk on the XFL. How about on wrestling? I want to see it. 2 shows are better than 1 show. Okay?
Yep.
Get them battling against. Competition is good. Now, who do we have to criticize? 1 show. So they need our help. All right? 2 shows. Let Heyman just go nuts. Shock TV. Have it just cutting edge. It's just, no, it's not the WWF. It's just like, he has his wife representing WWF, right? Not Vince. We saw what Costas made him lose his cool. Little Bobby Costas, right? I mean, yeah, have Heyman or whoever's been booking. I read it was Heyman now. Is that correct?
Heyman's got the most influence right now because he convinced everyone to do the thing on Monday, and Monday got such a great reaction that he won a lot of points right now. So
yeah.
he seems to have the most. I know the last night's show was very Heyman-oriented because you could see Spike Dudley, in a prominent role. You got Tajiri on there. The tables, ladders, and chairs was clearly Heyman's idea, and they came through. The guys gave him a great match.
That's right. So take that down in WCW, or just let Heyman go run wild down there, and then he can keep it. Vince can keep his little clique of Patterson and all those other guys. They got it running. I'm sure those agents are going, hey, listen, we had this thing running before you, and you know how they backbite. It's the competition. The backstabbing's got to be worse than ever, right? I would guess.
It will be now, especially with business going down. Yes.
Of course, they're all insecure guys. They're insecure about their job. What are they going to do? What are they going to do?
Start a union.
Huh? Yeah. Well.
Start a union.
Oh yeah, like wrestlers stick together, right?
Yeah.
No. I mean, what's the other options? You seen his stock? Would you buy it?
Nah, I've already made stock recommendations, and they're always wrong, so I don't talk about the stock.
Yeah, but I mean,
stock.
I wouldn't buy that. You look at the graph; it's a slippery slope. It seems to be hanging around 13, 14.
Yeah,
well, the way that stock reacts, now that business is going down, that stock will probably skyrocket.
I don't think so. What's their plan?
It always does the opposite of what you would expect.
The WWF stock?
Yeah.
WWF stock. Yeah, when news is good, we remember whenever there's really big news, it always goes down, right?
Yeah.
And whenever there's no news or bad, like leading into the XFL, that thing was going way up. And we all knew XFL was going to be a failure. It made no sense, right? So then the first week of the XFL was this giant success, and the stock went down. And then after that, the stock continued to go down. So I guess,
it's never made.
Handwriting was on the wall there.
Yeah.
Al, are you around?
I'm right here.
Al, do you know how to read these odds? Somebody sent me the odds for the Pride. What does plus 150 minus 190 mean? I mean, I know how to read Vegas odds, but I don't think that's what these are.
I think it's the same. Wait a minute. I'm looking for the email.
It's the MVP Sportsbook odds for the Pride.
Oh, somebody sent it to you? Oh, it's you.
What,
read it again for me.
Okay, I'll just give you an example. It's like Igor Vovchanchin says minus 190 and Gilbert Yvel is plus 150. So obviously that means Igor Vovchanchin's the favorite.
Right.
But what does that mean?
So you have to. It's if I'm not mistaken, you have to bet 190 on Vovchanchin to win back 150, something like that. It's the way they work the odds is screwy. I can actually give me a few minutes.
Okay, so if you bet 150 on Yvel and he wins, you win 190.
I think so. Don't quote me on that though, because I'm not the greatest.
Okay, so I am sure that if that's wrong, that we will get emails because there's people who I'm sure there's some gamblers out here. So anyway, so let me look at this just to see if my okay. So Igor Vovchanchin is the favorite over Gilbert Yvel. Valentin Overeem is the favorite over Gary Goodrich. Fujita is a giant favorite, it looks like, over Takayama. Guy Metzger and Chuck Liddell looks like it's about an even pick. Henderson's the favorite over Shoji. Joe de Oliveira is the favorite over Nino Schembri. And Vitor Belfort's the favorite over Heath Herring. Pele over Daijiro Matsui. And Vanderlei Silva over Shingo Oyama. So anyway, that's the actual odds at the MVP Sportsbook. We're talking about that. Let's see. Let me go through this one. Before the Muhammad Ali-Antonio Inoki match, were there any famous pro wrestler versus pro boxer matches? There were like a lot of them. Going back through time, I think Frank Gotch even fought like a boxer and got knocked out in like the early 1900s. So yeah, there've been a lot of them, but Ali Inoki was the most high-profile one. Let's go to Brandon. Brandon, you're first up.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Brian.
Hey.
Yeah, I have an idea on what they should do with Triple H in the next month or so. I think they should probably try and get him over his face pretty hardcore. They obviously started it with the whole Austin calling him out last night on SmackDown. And what they should probably do is cut some promos with maybe him and Stephanie on how, like, maybe he's feeling bad for himself and so on and so forth. And Stephanie's kind of getting sick of it. And then at King of the Ring...
No, because that makes him a heel and a whiner. You don't want to do that.
What?
That makes him a heel and a whiner if he's complaining. He can't complain.
Or,
he can't sell.
Not complaining per se, but maybe... Geez.
She can complain.
Yeah,
she
but you know what?
complain.
Here's the way I see it. He can be as big a heel as you want until Austin just totally lays him out. And then if he's off TV after being laid out by Austin for 6 months and makes his big return, he'll be so over.
Okay, but why continue to make him a heel now when there's no purpose to it?
No, you don't have to. I'm just saying it really doesn't matter as long as
No, you're right.
Austin
It doesn't matter. But I'm saying, like, why he shouldn't whine or complain. That should be Kurt Angle and Stephanie's role.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then Stephanie complains.
Stephanie can complain. Stephanie should be a total bitch, personally.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Making Triple H feel bad. Maybe making Triple H feel bad for himself a little, and then
so Stephanie's like, how could you do this to me? We had all the belts, and you did this to me right when I was at my peak. She's like, me. That would be awesome, because then all the guys would go, oh, God, I've heard this from my girlfriend, and it's like, and he's hurt, and he worked so hard, and God, I feel sorry for him. That's good.
She's got to do the guilt trips, too, where she asks him, like, to go get her, coffee or something, and he can't even walk.
She starts getting mad at him, yeah.
And like, the
make yourself useful. You're lazy, right?
Yeah, you're not doing anything. You didn't give me some coffee.
It's not like you got to rest up. You're not wrestling tonight or nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's the McMahon way. Yes.
Yeah.
He needs to be in rehab on their anniversary. She yells at him for it.
That's a good one.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And then, like, maybe the combination of that with Austin trashing him in the ring, saying, oh, it's all your fault, we lost the belts, blah, blah, blah. And then at King of the Ring, when Austin apparently is going to be fighting Jericho, I don't know if Triple H will agree to this, but maybe Triple H comes out and tries to help Jericho, or maybe to a person.
No, too soon to show your hand.
What?
I think that's too soon to show your hand. He shouldn't be helping Jericho. I don't like, because that's...
Well, maybe not helping Jericho, but if he's trying to screw Austin more.
I think Austin should do something to him unprovoked, rather than he, like, screw Austin first. That should be, like, down the line when he comes... That should be when he comes back. Because then Austin would have a justification for getting him. You don't want any justification for Austin beating him up and laying him out, like that he did something to Austin first.
Right. Well, I thought maybe that would give an excuse, though, for the whole Angle and Stephanie thing. Because then maybe at the same time you could bring Angle out to take him out. I mean, like, all the fans supposedly want to see Jericho win, I would think, over Austin. And so if you bring Angle out, and then maybe Stephanie comes out. Angle and Stephanie screw Jericho. Save her husband, but then actually slaps Triple H. Then, like, it seems like everybody's against Triple H. So when he does come back, I mean, he'll be, like, really sick.
You want everyone against him.
Should you kind of kick him when he's down, kick the guy when he's down, and have her change her look? She should dress better, but not that daddy. Don't do that. Not daddy. Change her look. She can look better than she does, right? Don't you think? Or am I wrong?
I don't know.
I would say change your look. Don't go daddy. Not daddies. That sounds like daddy's little girl. Not like that. Change your look, and then he's of no use to her. And he's not, how could you do this? That's the right angle, the psychology bit.
I like the idea of everyone being against him, because one of the things also is when Austin trashes him, one of the things that Ross and Heyman should get over is he has no friends. None of the baby faces are going to save him, and none of the heels are going to save him either. So he just takes like this horrific beating, and then we don't see him for a long time.
But keep him away though too. But then they could
keep him off TV for a long time.
Deal.
Yeah, you got to keep him off TV. Go to the WCW deal, and not let people know. Don't throw all these hints that he's coming back. I mean, there's some big match that Austin's in, and he costs Austin that match out of nowhere with he's going to be there ahead of time. And I like, and then you can go. Or actually, you know what? He should come back and screw not Austin, screw Angle. Maybe Angle's the one who should lay him out. You know what? Angle may need it. Angle may need it more. Or maybe Angle and Austin together.
And then,
because Angle needs that little killer instinct thing with him, and maybe Angle and Austin. Plus, you got a lot of Angle Austin tag teams.
2-on-1 on a crippled guy.
2-on-1 on a crippled guy. Plus, you want Austin involved in it, but Angle should be like Angle puts him in the ankle lock. Austin maybe jumps him and beats him up and lays him down. He's gone, and then Angle comes in and puts him in the ankle lock when everyone thinks the beating's over.
Yeah, Stephanie can get with Kurt Angle.
And Stephanie ends up with Kurt Angle, which is the final insult. Exactly.
Yep. That would be good. And then change your look. Change your look, and then have her be a real bitch. I
know, man. We should be in those booking meetings.
No. We got to help them. That's our duty. I know what I said before. I didn't mean to criticize, but I like to watch wrestling.
What's so funny is when they were doing good, I had no motivation to do this, and now that they're doing bad, I have all these ideas. Everyone's got ideas. You should see the emails. Anyway, I was just thinking about something. I've got a couple of emails about the Fujita thing. Do you realize that there's a match? Tom, think about this.
Yes.
There's a match between two pro wrestlers on Sunday in Japan, and they're taking odds on it. On who's going to win.
On two pro wrestlers?
Yeah, Kazuyuki Fujita and Yoshihiro Takayama. It's the main event on the Pride show.
Oh, my God.
When we were reading the odds, they have they're not Vegas. I think it's wherever MVP Sportsbook is. I think it's, where is that, Al? MVP Sportsbook, you know?
It's based in Costa Rica.
The Costa Rican people are taking odds on two pro wrestlers.
Oh.
The least they could do is have odds on whether it's a work or a shoot as opposed to who's going to win. At least then it would be.
And by the way, guys, I do have a breakdown of the odds things. Minus 190 means that you need to bet 190 to win $100. And then you would go up to...
What a deal.
Yeah, you go up and put it down $190, and when that guy wins...
So when Igor wins, you can get another 100.
Right, you collect 290, and then on the flip side...
So now if you bet... So now if you're betting on Gilbert Ivell and you bet 100, that means you collect 150 extra, so you'll win 250 back, right?
Right. If the person is plus 150, you're betting 100 to win 150 back. That's what it is.
That's a good bet. The Gilbert Ivell bet's not bad. On that
Where's your money going on, Al?
Okay, let's see.
I don't know. I would take Ivell.
Yeah.
In that, yeah.
How about you, Dave?
On those odds, I mean, it's close. It's close. Okay. Now, Fujita and Takayama, so that means that if you bet $600 on Fujita and he wins, you get $700. I mean, why even bet? Because, there's always that chance he could...
It's the action.
Much of a chance he could lose.
It's the action.
Yeah, I know. So now Guy Metz and Chuck Liddell are even money, okay? So now I totally understand. So now with Vitor Belfort and Heath Herring, if you bet $135 on Vitor and he wins, you get $100 profit. And in Heath Herring, if you bet $100, you get $105 profit. So that's a close one. So the big blowout is Fujita Takayama and Henderson Shoji and Silva and Oyama. Actually, and Pele and Matsui. Okay. All right. I got it. Okay. This is from Hellion, who goes, I thought that the funniest part of SmackDown was when Steve Regal said, we do not allow stereotypes in the WWF, so you have to stop the bowing. And then he said, no, go get me some tea and crumpets. That was the second funniest thing on the show. The funniest was when Kurt Angle asked him to Saved by the Bell. Oh, that was so good.
Take surprise.
Yes. This is, I used to always watch...
This is not the prom. That was another good one.
Yeah, there was, after all of that bad writing, there was some damn good writing last night. This is from Lewis, who goes, I used to always watch Raw and SmackDown, even when Steve Austin was gone. What makes me not watch or care is to see Steve Austin as a heel. He's not only a heel, but a wimpy heel. I'm sick and tired of seeing the same thing in the main event. There's been no new storylines for many months. Great. They had Benoit and Jericho win. Who cares? Their writers suck. They didn't last night. For a few weeks there. And that includes Paul Heyman. Hey,
No. Heyman's a good guy. No. Heyman's a good guy.
I don't know. I'm not in the meetings either. I don't know. Okay, I think they either suffer from non-creative angles or misogynistic well, we're always going to have misogynistic angles in a male-oriented business. Yeah. I agree with Brian that Kurt Angle's cool, and he's the only one I look forward to watching. This is someone who goes, I'm very confused. Last year, Triple H got dropped 50 feet inside of a car, and he came back a week later. Now all he did was take one step, and he's out for 6 months. Man, that's interesting.
Oh, wow.
We got a couple of emails, and I got to address this, which is so weird that this happens every single week, and we never get an email, and everyone seems to know. And now this week, we've got 2 emails asking the same thing. People reading that SmackDown got a 5.0, and I just said it did a 3.9. It got a 5.0 on the overnight. The overnight is the first rating that comes in the morning.
Yeah.
But the final rating, which usually comes in at about 4 o'clock, which is the final, that got a 3.9. And everyone talks about the overnight, but the minute the final rating comes in, nobody cares about the overnight number. And the overnight number of 5.0 was up slightly from a 4.9 the week before, and even then that was a disappointment because that's going against the big wedding on Friends that did a 22, and they so they should have and plus they still had a first run CSI, the season finale of CSI, which did a monster number as well. So however you slice it, I mean you can say it's too soon, and you're probably right, but the rating was not good news.
Hell no, it's not good news. That's what I thought, 5.0. I thought, oh, good, and then you corrected me. That's what I got off the net, too. I guess it was the overnight.
Yeah, it's a 3.9. It's not good news.
No, it's not good news. That's what he's got to act now. Look at the timing, and if he's not smart enough to know that now, look at Hunter. They throw you lemons, make lemonade. There's something good. Use this to his advantage. My God. He's not cheap.
He has to act now because, he should have acted earlier.
Well,
yeah, you should have acted when
do you
they
think
were
we'll ever
doing
get to the point where Vince finally goes, when business is good, why don't I start acting now for the future instead of waiting until it goes down every time?
When business is good, that's when you create new stars because you can.
When
business is bad and you create new stars, they it's like all those guys in the Hogan era.
Yep.
People still remember a lot of them today, but all those guys in that Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels era,
yep.
That were on top, like the Mabels and stuff, nobody remembers them because you know what I mean. They were created during that bad period.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you would think that he'd learn by his mistakes, or it's like I read something the other day. Now, Brian, you wrestled. How many years you wrestled, Brian?
2, 3.
Okay, I've been out of it for how many? 5, 6, 10, whatever. Yeah, you think you don't know. You never laced up the boots, and that mentality. They're retards. I don't care what worker. Oh, you don't know. Pain.
Here we go.
No, yeah. I've read it. Okay. Yeah. Big, macho, tough guy. Suck it up. No. You can get injured and this and that, but, you can't criticize. You guys love the business. You're doing the show how many days a week? You're obviously fans and you love the business. Okay? They're alibi and where guys are, they ranked me 25th. They're marks. Working marks. I met more working marks than I did real people. Don't you find that in the business, Brian?
That the wrestlers are bigger marks than the fans?
Yeah, they just want to be on TV and you can pay them nothing. I mean, promoters, I made you a star on my TV.
Hey, believe me, there's a reason the independent guys work for free, and there's a reason they work for $25.
Oh, I never work for free, I'll tell you that. And I don't think I ever worked for $25.
Brian does every week.
To me.
What? You do? What? I mean, what is it?
Plenty of free shows.
What is it? Just
and
the
$25.
Is it the exercise, or how much you weigh?
Me, 170.
Okay. So you're up in the Pacific Northwest, right?
Yeah.
That's great country. That was one of the best times I ever had it with Don Owens. Geez, always complaining. Geez, another mill shut down. I don't know if we can pay you this week. Always complaining about.
Don had a rep for being a good payoff guy, though.
He was a good payoff guy, but he'd bring in news clippings. Ask Steve Pardee, Moondog Moretti. I mean, he'd bring in, they'd go, that old turtle-faced bastard, that cheap son, because they'd been in and out so many times. But he was nice to me. He was very good with me. You know?
Yeah, he built the thing
Ed
around
Moretti's
you
still
for a while
working
there.
up here.
Huh?
Ed Moretti's still working up here.
I heard that he works at a hotel or the caretaker.
Is he still working at the hotel in Canby?
No. Yeah, that's it.
He was working in Canby for a long time. Ed Moretti, I used to, I knew Ed Moretti when I was like a very, really, really young.
He told me to sneak into the matches at the Cow Palace and hide under the ring or just hide in the seats or something. Is that true?
No, he was always in the front row, but he was at every show. I mean, this was a guy, Ed Moretti, and there was a group. Roland Alexander was with him. Those guys, they loved wrestling so much. And it was like, Ed Moretti, he just loves wrestling. I mean, more than like almost anyone.
Still does.
And listen,
and he always will. Yeah.
And you know what he told me? He used to be just frustrated and kind of a fat kid, and he used to gaff himself, cut his forehead with a
he had gig marks when he was 14 years old or 15 years old.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm exaggerating. It might have been 17, but, I mean, when I remember seeing Ed Moretti with the gig marks when I was a little kid.
Yeah,
he was not a wrestler then. He was he would wrestle in his backyard like, we're encouraging backyard wrestling.
No, let's not do that.
No, everyone does it.
Oh, God.
I'm going to wrestle myself. I might small package myself and lose again.
You'd get a win, though.
Yes, I would, and I've been, geez. Yeah, I had a bad career, I'm a quitter, Yeah, okay. Moondog, he really was. He loved it. A lot of guys love the business, but it doesn't love him back. It's like your job, You love the business, but it won't love you back.
I don't think the business loves anyone back.
Exactly.
I really don't.
So then, you got to be realistic about it, and, they put a spin on things, and they just, trash you. It's too bad. It doesn't need to be that way. I can turn the other cheek. I'm just trying to help because I don't think they have a clue. Linda said, 2-3 weeks, WCW. How many guys do you know, Dave, and you talk to a lot of guys, how many guys have been contacted when the startup date? Wouldn't you know something by now?
Well, as far as, the few guys, if they're going to bring them in Monday, because they'll be told to keep it quiet, but it's only going to be 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But, basically, as far as, the people who were all interviewed in Atlanta and Florida and all that, I think most of them have not heard anything since their interview. And, everyone's, they're, I don't want to say scared, but they're kind of hoping to hear something. But, there's nothing to hear. What can you say?
Because they don't have a plan. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
they have no plan.
They actually had a plan. They just couldn't get the TV. So now they've got to restructure and make a plan that works. And I don't know that they have the plan that works yet. They say that they got 4 different plans, and they're going to go with one of them. So we'll find out. And then, I think it's going to be starting to be evident Monday, if not a couple of weeks from now. I think Monday's going to be an interesting show.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, but I don't know. WCW seemed to lose the war when Nash beat Goldberg, right?
A lot of people say that was the beginning of the end, but you know what? They did so many things that were the beginning of the end. It's hard to point to any one of them. That was a bad move, and there were like 500 bad moves, So
yeah, but don't you feed a fire? Like if you're gambling or whatever, you just put, you win, then you double your bet, and then you snuff a drought.
I remember when that was going on. I thought that was the stupidest thing. I was going they can't do this. They can't do this, and then they did it.
Yeah.
The first Nitro, what was the main event? Was Hogan and Luger?
The first, no, that was like about 3. Luger walked in. I think that might have been the second or third week. Hogan and Luger.
Well, really,
the first
that
one was Hogan and Boss Man.
They were already hot-shotting. They were already giving huge matches away for free on TV.
Yes.
And, if you really want to look at the beginning of the end, it was really the beginning.
They just lucked into that one hot streak. You're right.
Yeah, they had a great hot streak, but they were already making those little mistakes. It became huge mistakes. It killed the company at the very beginning.
And the other thing, the 2 things that happened is they lucked into that NWO angle, and they revolutionized the in-ring product by bringing in the small guys. Vince was so far away from the small guys. He was trying to bring in, was it like Rick Bogner as Razor, and it was the Vince mentality, all the big guys, and then the other guys were working rings around him, because they had all the small guys, and it was something new, and that's when it took off.
And the thing was, when you had the 2 TV products, we've said this so many times, when you watch TV, you really can't tell how much bigger guys are than guys on another TV show. All you saw was an awesome match on Nitro and a horrible match on Raw. Who cares if the 2 guys were 8 feet tall? It doesn't matter. It was just what you saw on TV in the ring. Maybe the fans at ringside went, man, that fake Diesel, that's a real big guy, but that didn't mean anything.
Yeah, but you guys, don't you think that we're looking at it, or we see things that the other people, that the fans, the casual fans, like my boss, he's a mark, and a lot of guys at work are marks, and that's why, I gauge that when I go on your shows, and if they're talking about it. This week, they talked about it. They haven't for a couple of years. Nothing interesting, you know what I'm saying? And they like
if they liked Monday and Thursday, then that's definitely a good sign.
It is a good sign. That's what I'm saying. Okay, yeah, let's hope they've turned the corner, but the past is behind. Let's have more of this. What are these guys going to do? How many people can run camps? Their options suck. So Vince owns them all. Bring them back. He's a billionaire. What does $6 million mean for a guy that everyone wants to see? Goldberg, Austin, and then you got Triple H, Goldberg and The Rock versus Triple H, Austin.
Tag matches.
Yeah,
Goldberg and Ric Flair against somebody.
Yeah, and then you build you build the confidence of the company. You build the stock. You get it rocking and rolling. The only people that are pushing it are the people that own the stock, right? The investors, I
don't think the investors have a clue what's going on.
No, if you really think about those matches you just mentioned with Goldberg and Austin and Goldberg and Rock and the tag matches and Flair, just think about that, and then think about the 24 guys they have now and some developmental guys, and what a gigantic difference that really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I you know what though? I think deep down we all know that they're gonna have to bite the bullet and sign him. I think.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get the point across. They should sign everyone. Where are these guys going to go? But, I'm not getting any younger.
I don't know about everybody.
Okay, yeah, you guys are closer to it. But what I'm saying is, DDP, you can get him for a song because he's not getting any younger, and he wants to just rationalize that, it wasn't because Eric Bischoff was my neighbor, and that's all it was. So he'll work for free. He worked for free with Vern Gagne. He just wanted to be on TV. What's he going to do now?
The thing with DDP, though, is
that I want him to see like Dusty. He'll dress him up like Dusty.
No, they can't be humiliating people. It's not the time to humiliate anyone.
Well, I think for the boys, they'd like it.
Yeah.
Bring in Goldberg, bring in Flair, bring in some of the top, Scotty Steiner. They're not getting any younger. The point is, with all this stuff going on, don't talk crap. Let's get going with the program here. They got to, let's go. Bite the bullet.
Well,
like you guys.
I think they will. Let's go to Chit in Oklahoma. What's going on?
Hey guys. I have a couple questions for Tom.
Yes.
My first one is, Tom, if you're the head writer for the new WCW, what would you do with DDP?
What would I do with DDP?
I think we just heard.
Yeah, maybe he was on time delay.
Any specifics?
With DDP?
Yeah.
He just wants to justify himself. He just, he's somebody because, I've trashed him just unmercifully. He's the case. You don't put a 40-year-old guy and then train him and take a manager in wrestling, and then all of a sudden he's a wrestler. You just don't do that, okay? And you think that was a wise investment for Ted Turner to push him there? Yeah, he got to be a good worker. He might have a spot on the card, jerk the curtain open or whatever, but 2 knee braces and all that, has to put all this spin on it. Leatherface, right? Like Mark Madden said, and they got him fired. No, he'd have to. They're all going to learn a real cruel lesson, but I think reality set in with a lot of the guys. I wouldn't have any plans for DDP other than to dress him up in polka dots. I'd bring Dusty back. I'd bring Dustin back. I'd bring them all back.
No, come on, you can't Dustin. There's nothing there.
I'm kidding. That's what I'm saying.
How about Luger?
There's
no upside to Luger.
The point is, you don't think they were corrupt to sign him for $750,000 of Turner's money?
Who, Dustin? Oh, what a great deal that was.
Yeah, corrupt.
But you know what it was? But that was during that period where Eric overspent for anyone in the WWF.
He's a mental. He's a mark.
Kurt Hennig, Rick Rude, all those guys got great money deals that they never should have got.
What? Eric's a
Brian
mental.
Brian Adams was the best of all.
Eric is just, he was Vern's coffee boy. I never had any respect for him. What goes around comes around. Now, he's probably broke.
Okay, anything else, Chit?
One more question.
Yes.
Tom, I was wanting to know what you thought of DDP saying him and Scotty Steiner are the best friends now after their fight.
Yeah, sure. That's why he came down with 14 security guards and Scotty Steiner. Listen, I'd rather jump out a 10-story window than fight him. I've seen him mad before.
I would too.
Huh? Yeah, he's an animal. And that's the whole thing. Get the Steiner boys. They're your policemen. Like I said, Scotty Steiner, Rob Rick Steiner, the Steiner boys, Scott Norton, Kevin Wackles, Nails. The past is the past. Listen, here's the finish. You don't want to do a job? You talk to the 4 boys here. I'll guarantee you.
Those guys around, though.
What? What'd you say?
I don't know.
Then listen, no, you know,
guys that there's really no upside to them. And I don't even want to
Scott
mention
Norton
this
and Kevin
because I don't want the
Wackles, I just
idea
don't
to get
see.
out that
That what?
people are wanted, but I got a lot of emails about Chronic. God knows why.
Okay, but you know what? I do believe there's only one guy, okay, who I do believe, and that really Vince will never call back, and it's Kevin Wackles. I really believe. I really believe he won't call him back.
Yeah, he told me the situation, and I guess he grabbed him or something, Vince, but he was mad about the payoff, right?
Yeah, for that SummerSlam in '92. Yeah.
It's just a rumor that I heard. But Barry Darso said that Vince told him, and I quote, Vince said he was never been so scared in his life. He saw blue, purple, red, green. He was choking him, bashing his head off the ground. Now, he messes with a guy like that? I mean, my God. Yeah. It's a funny story. Can you imagine that? Having a guy like him after, he used to bounce down at Moby Dick's on Hennepin Avenue.
Who, Wackles?
Yeah, he won a tough man contest in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
Everyone was afraid of him.
Yeah.
Don't mess with a guy like that.
This is Antonio Inoki crazy? That means the lineage of the now legitimate World Heavyweight Championship will have both Scott Norton and Hulk Hogan as part of its history. It will. And probably, did Tony Holm ever hold that belt? I don't think he did.
The IWGP?
Yeah, no, he challenged for it. He never won it, thank God.
What was he, a goof? He sucker punched Norton one time in Japan, drinking.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's
he
right.
blasted him. He had a big ring on his head. He sucker punched him.
Yep.
Yeah, cut him wide open. What's with he? Was he hanging around? Is he hanging around California still? Kind of a goof.
Tony Holm. Last I heard, he was boxing in Europe.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
well,
yeah.
That's where he should be.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Okay. This is, while picking Heath Herring over Vitor, keep in mind Pride has reinstituted the 10-kilo rule difference. If a fighter wants to use it, and no doubt Vitor will use it. Okay, that means that if 10 kilos, which is 22 pounds, if you're fighting a guy and he's more than 22 pounds heavier, then you get a bonus point in the scoring. In case of a draw, you'll get the win. So that's true. Also, fighters will be fined 10% of their purse if they get a yellow card. Man, that's a heavy fine. It's a controversial rule, but it promises to make the fights more exciting. More exciting. Do you think it makes it more exciting? It'll make you follow the rules more. Because that one hurts.
That's exactly exciting.
No, I don't know if it makes it less exciting. This is for Tom.
I don't think it's very controversial. Why not? This is breaking the rules anyway.
Yeah, I like a little cheating.
Yeah. So Robert, who goes, what's your opinion on the Madden DDP situation?
I think DDP had more stroke with Bischoff because they've been buddies, all along. He's the one. DDP bragged to me that he gave Jim Hurd tapes of Bischoff, and that's so I figure it's a favor. He got him in, and then Eric wrote a phony resume. The story goes, and he had Khan going on with what was his name? The Wonder Year boy,
Jason Hervey.
Yeah, and he said that he wanted to be a game show. He was working at what was his name? The guy that Dusty took him up to his cabin, baby, and said, listen, you give me a pencil, I'll draw you a play, baby. You're going to take him up to the cabin and spend a weekend talking about the scheme with WCW, and you put him on TV. He swerved him good. What was that guy's name, Kip Fry?
Kip Fry, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to like Kip Fry, but
pardon?
He was a nice guy, though.
Yes, a very nice guy, honest, but, those guys have stars in their eyes with these guys. He sold to Dusty. I used to see you on TV, and Dusty knew I had that.
That was it.
Yeah, I knew I had him, baby, when he sold like that. That's the con, okay?
Now, that's an interesting thing, because I remember going through that whole period, because we went from Jim Hurd, who really didn't know wrestling.
Yeah, he didn't even know reality when you talked to him. Hey, Tom Zenk, I had Wayne Coulter bail him out of jail. Well, the wrestling police arrested me. They said I was a phony. So, Wayne Coulter was a nice guy.
Those weren't the wrestling police. Those weren't those guys that the indie guys dressed up. Those weren't indie guys that came in. I remember that night, Tom. That wasn't some raw angle. I don't think. That was no raw angle. When you get arrested like Nash used to get arrested every Monday. But so then we then Kip Fry, who nice guy, but didn't know wrestling, and
they took advantage.
A lot of the guys.
They took advantage,
and then they went to the Cowboy, which was a total nightmare.
Oh gosh, he had some. He knew how to talk to the guys sternly, But these guys with some stroke like the Stinger or whatever, different guys, I mean, you know, good politician, they played the game. They were not masters of it, but, you know, I mean, however they got locked into $750,000 a year. And, you know, I mean, I guess, you know, he's a wash. We never heard the crowd chanting Sting. No, it was Goldberg, Flair. You know, I think he's done. Isn't it ironic, though? I saw him on Walker, Texas Ranger. And
I heard that. Yeah.
He was a meth. He was a meth dealer. You think any judge in the land is going to give you any love for selling methamphetamine?
Mm.
Well, I mean, and he's a Christian, right? I mean, God, I'd dump that agent. They want to rib on him. He's at a prayer meeting with DiBiase.
It's an actor playing a role. Come on.
I know, but what I'm saying.
You know what?
Listen,
Okay,
no, you're a role model. Don't play both sides. We can't do that here.
Okay, but you know what's weird? Okay, it's like
I wouldn't take. You know, I mean, what's he desperate for money?
If I don't see anything wrong with like a guy who's a Christian playing a role on a television show. But you know what?
Yeah.
At the same time, then there should be nothing wrong with them playing a heel role in wrestling because it is the same thing, right?
It's even worse than methamphetamine. You know, I mean, what do you think you're doing? You know, you're broadcasting.
It is the same thing, you know. But if you're in wrestling and you got these little children that you want to be a role model for, these little children aren't going to understand that this wrestling character is fake, like the dude on Walker, Texas Ranger that's selling meth.
Well, yeah. I mean, the one thing you're right is that like when those guys go in public, like an actor, they don't pretend that they're a meth dealer. But when wrestlers go in public, they pretend that they're not Steve Borden, they're Sting. And when they sign that autograph, they sign Sting when you know, like Michael J. Fox, whatever his character name was in all the different TV shows he was in, when he signed that autograph, it was Michael J. Fox, right?
Well, you got his autograph?
No, I'm just throwing a name of you know, some guy.
He does
any autographs.
It's just like you know, Kurt Angle was doing that interview and he said, you know, when I'm out in public, people go, "Are you really an Olympic gold medalist?" And I say yes. And then they assume that I'm really an asshole.
They'd ask me, they go, "Who are you?" I said, "Nobody." And they go, "You're right." Same thing, I'm the same guy. Yeah, it was just fake, El Faco, you know?
Yeah.
You know.
Let's go to Ed in Texas. Ed, what's going on?
Dave, what I want to talk about is a SmackDown. I had called last week and I thought it was a good show. And, God, I got to say, last night must have been the greatest SmackDown that they've had. I mean, that main event was so incredible.
That main event was so good.
It had such a good flow to it. I've never seen a TLC match flow that good before.
We're on a roll.
And you know, and the Spike Dudley angle was pretty good. I really enjoyed that. I'm kind of looking forward to see where that leads to.
It's different. I got a lot of compliments about that one. I think, you know, he's good, and Kurt's great, and
she's campy.
She is so campy.
Last night.
She is so campy. I mean, it's like
she's so campy that it almost makes it work better, you know?
No, it is better. It is better because of it. I agree. Yeah.
Okay. And what else? The other thing I want to talk about is, Tom, I followed you most of your career. I've seen you in the WWF. I saw the Battle Royal in the AWA, and I pretty much followed all your career in WCW.
You're not mad at me because I was a loser, right?
No. In fact, they used to piss me off that they did treat you like that.
Yeah, but
I was a big fan. You know, like 20 minutes into that cage match, I knew it was you under the mask.
How'd you know? Meltzer didn't even know. I called him after the match. I was just hooting and hollering, and they thought it was a good match. Imagine that.
No, I mean, I knew right away. I mean, within a minute, I knew that it was you. I mean,
how'd you know?
The size, and I don't know. I just always had a feeling. I mean, no one ever would say who it was.
Giant Z on your trunks.
I had a sombrero and I had a mask. Mil mascaras. Yeah, he wore his mask in the shower. Did I ever tell you that one? And he
I knew about it. Yeah.
Oh,
Mil Mascaras was a trip. You know, he still doesn't sell, and he's like 62 years old.
Oh, I can believe that.
Yeah.
I can believe that. Wow.
He just kind of like lays in the corner, and the guys beat on him, and he just just doesn't react at all.
Yeah. Well, he might have a heart attack if he takes a bump.
Well, I appreciate all the kind words that you watched my career, but it didn't end up, like Will Chamberlain says, you take the bitter with the sweet.
Okay, well, you're kind of not going to like this then, Tom.
Okay, just rail on me.
Okay, I've heard your interviews, and I have to say that I've liked most of them.
Yep.
But the last couple, you've turned me off slightly.
Well, what can I do? Don't hurt my feeling.
Well, I know you're not bitter, but sometimes you do come off as being hateful and vindictive.
Oh, my God. You know something? It's entertainment, okay?
Uh-huh.
So don't turn against me for that. Oh, just, I had my fingers crossed, okay? Like Vince McMahon, I learned it there. I had my fingers crossed. Oh, it's like a grade school trick, okay? This is entertainment. It's TV, Like the car crash at the News at 10 or whatever down in Texas, I mean, entertainment. They shouldn't be putting that stuff on TV. Don't be angry
I'm
with
like
me.
totally confused now.
Okay. Well, like I say, I mean, like, I don't really have anything against you. It's just like I kind of thought you were, attacking people for no reason.
Yeah, but it's entertainment.
Like
I'm
you
trying
say,
to
this
capture
is a
ratings
show,
on
and
Dave's
that's what
show.
people are listening to. They do want to hear you tell your story. So I mean, I guess I don't really have.
Okay, let me give you this. Okay, you haven't even heard about the good stuff what goes on out of the ring, the nightlife and the fun I had. Okay, I'm just trying to help the business, not negative. What they did was wrong in WCW, and I think I've proved my point. Okay,
They proved everyone's point. They're not in business.
What?
They proved everyone's point. They're not in business. I mean, you can't get more proof than $62 million in losses in 1 year.
Oh, my. But what I'm saying is, Vince, he lost in the XFL. He should get competition. WCW, and Heyman's the guy. Heyman and Shane. What do you think about that?
I think they should run it totally separate from McMahon if possible.
Yeah, but Paul Heyman, you don't think he's a renegade? You don't think he's got guys that he wants to pay money to? You don't think he's contrite and he wants to do the right thing now, get a second chance? Of course he does.
Yeah,
this guy turned me on to a lot of girls in New York City.
To WCW.
He's a great guy, okay?
now we know that. Now we know this. Okay.
Okay, guys, that's pretty much all I had today. Thanks for taking my call.
Okay, thanks a bunch, Ed. All right, let's go to Tony in Long Island. Tony, you're next up.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Good, great. How are you, Tony?
Doing great. I got to agree with that last caller, Tom. I remember that first time you came on the show. You were just hilarious. And what's happened since?
What do you mean, what's happened?
I mean, you've done a complete 180. I mean, you were just enlightening and funny, and now it's just, I don't know, the last couple of interviews, it's just you've done a 180, completely changed, not funny anymore. What's going on?
What do you want to know about?
I mean, you were hilarious that first show.
Yeah, but you can't come up with that stuff all the time. I'm on a mission.
You got to get some more material, Tom.
Huh?
You got to get some new material.
WCW died, and a lot of people lost a lot of material.
Yeah.
I know. I know. I lost it about 6 months before they died when I just realized that they were actually going to die rather than just exist forever. And you know what I mean? That was that was a bad point.
Well, the next time I'll try and be better prepared. I'm sorry I let you down, Tony.
You know why? You just set the standard so high, babe. That's all.
Hey, babe.
All right, guys.
Actually, the best time you were on was not the first time, but probably the second or the third.
Yeah, I know. He had it wrong. I knew that too. I just didn't know how far I could go.
I'll tell you what it was. It was the one we did that. We'd been doing the show for just about a year. Because it was the voting, and when you got all those votes for the best show, because you were in there, you snuck in there like 2 weeks or a week before, and we were doing that thing for the year, and everyone voted for you for best guest for the whole year. So that was the one. That was the one. That was the one where we couldn't stop laughing. Remember that show?
Of course I do. But I mean, there's certain things I don't know how. I got a lot of heat from it. Just why are you doing that? It's like, oh, gee, I thought, but I don't know. I don't know how far to go, and I don't talk to you. And just, yeah, I got a lot of funny stuff, but. It just depends what you want. I'm trying to get the point across, and we got to do something about wrestling, okay? You guys are on all the time, all right? And it seems like people, and they're believing the internet. The two Chris's, okay? They're giving them a chance, but they got to do something. He'll go back. He's just going to teach them a lesson, then they'll go back. Its timing is good for it. Then he'll go back to big guys. That's what I got to believe, okay? But look through
Dynamite. If the ratings continue to go down, he will go back to big guys.
Remember with Dynamite Kid, he said he was never big enough in the WWF. Okay, as much as I love the Chris's. How long is he going to go with that angle? Triple H is out, Austin. I mean,
he has to. He's got to make new stars now. He's got Triple H out. He's only got one guy in Austin, so he's got to create new stars the next couple of weeks and months.
Exactly. Of course, he's got to bite the bullet. He's got to do the right thing. It's like, gosh, how can you be so naive? I'm trying to help. This is more of I got an angle. It's a good. They should bite the bullet. It's not interesting.
The new Ross report is out. He said that recovery time for Triple H is looked to be 3 to 4 months.
Not to the bone. No.
Okay, well, he said the quad tear was worse than indicated. It was a complete tear of one of the 4 quadricep heads. It was reattached by Dr. Jim Andrews yesterday. So that's the deal there. And then, you'll love this one, Brian, because maybe some of Triple H's critics will cut him some slack after the performance he provided us on Raw under extremely extraordinary circumstances. Triple H will be back on TV in a few weeks, and what should be very interesting. I hope he is back in a few weeks, but I hope he's not back for good, because that would be...
Like we've ever made fun of Hunter's work rate or his matches or anything like that.
You guys are tough.
You have to cut him some slack because he had a good match.
I know. After every pay-per-view, what do we say? What an awesome match, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes, I expect our crowds in Calgary and Edmonton to be red hot. I'm looking forward to seeing the Hart family while we were in Calgary and hope we can do something special for Stu Hart, who has made so many significant contributions to our business.
Too little, too late.
Yeah, they're really doing something this weekend. They're really working, what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
They're working on healing all wounds very hard.
Wow.
And then he said that Nathan Jones and John Heidenreich may soon be assigned to OVW. Nathan Jones was the guy who we saw when we were down there. That guy's got tons of potential. In fact,
OVW's going to have a bigger roster than the WWF.
They're going to have bigger guys between Brock Lesnar. I mean, Heidenreich's like 6'8", 320. Nathan Jones is like 6'10", I don't know what, 335, I'm guessing. Legit. He's a freak.
He is a monster. And remember, Ross said JR had him cut a promo right in front of him, like standing outside?
Oh, yeah. We were sitting there, and JR just, actually, he went up to me and goes, want to see this guy cut a promo, if he can cut a promo? So he goes up there and goes, cut a promo like you're having a match with Austin. So he cuts a promo, and it's like he's Nathan Jones has done acting before, so he kind of cuts it like an actor, but he was actually quite good. You know, I mean, he didn't stumble over his words or anything, he just was a little bit too actorish. You know, he reminds me of exactly, I guess because they're both from Australia and they sound exactly like his Elvis Sinisic. It's like I was thinking of this giant Elvis Sinisic walking in front of me. But, between that and Brock Lesnar and Leviathan he could be a big monster with Nathan Jones there.
Yeah.
He'll
still be scary.
Well, he's still got those bolts on the side of his neck.
Fangs.
So, yeah, and the fangs, right. I think there's some mention about Tommy Dreamer, too, that they want Tommy Dreamer, and although I didn't see that in that report here. See, did Benoit ever marry Nancy Sullivan? Yeah, they did, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that a great angle? He stole Sullivan's old lady.
And Sullivan booked it.
Benoit was Sullivan.
Huh?
Sullivan.
Sullivan's the one that set it up.
I know, isn't that great? It's like, God, how ironic is that? That's just fantastic.
That was the most unbelievable thing.
When I heard it, I thought Joey was lying, and I thought Joey.
I used to think everyone was lying too until they were living together, and I'm going like, oh my God, he did book his divorce.
I thought, God, I could have swore he was married. Not in a bad way or anything, but just how he hooked him up, and they, put an angle, and he had to travel to the gym together. It's like, what? I mean, live the part. It's like, oh my God.
Let's go to Tim in Toronto. Tim, what's going on?
How you doing?
Hey.
Good.
Brian, I'd just like to say I love you. You make me laugh all the time.
Oh, thanks.
And you guys were talking about the best Raw matches the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I emailed Brian about the Rock Austin. That was the day after Survivor Series '98 when the big screw job and Austin had been re-signed by Shane, and then Undertaker came in with a shovel. That was that match. But some of the other good Raw matches I wanted to say was the Austin Benoit they did when Austin first came back from the injury. And the Rock.
That was a really good match, yeah.
Yeah, and the Rock Mankind, the ladder match, and the one where Foley won his first title. The one that Shivani gave away.
I don't even remember the ladder match.
Remember the ladder match where Big Show came in and chokeslammed him off the ladder? It was like right after St. Valentine's Massacre.
This is horrible that I can't even remember that.
Yeah, it is.
I don't either.
It's horrible.
Remember, it was like the day after St. Valentine's Massacre because.
Something else from, speaking of St. Valentine's Day Massacre that I never even remembered until I looked back at it. Remember we were talking about Hunter never doing jobs on pay-per-view and that sort of thing? Mm-hmm. He did a job on that pay-per-view to China.
Oh.
She pinned him in a tag.
That's different. That's for your girlfriend.
Yeah,
you always got to put over your girlfriend. No, you do. There's just no way around it.
But not in the angle with Stephanie, right? She should be a bitch.
He never gets the better of Stephanie either.
Yeah.
They're always even.
And for WCW, what is one thing that Vince McMahon has always done? Turns a negative into a positive. Look what happened with Bret Hart. That was supposed to be the death of WWF. He turned it into the biggest angle of all time with him and Austin.
Vince has turned negatives into positives and positives into negatives.
And the biggest downfall of WCW right now is the time slot, right? So why not use it to their advantage? It's 11-1. Turn up the heat. They're
not going to get that time slot. I think that's about to fall apart.
But I mean, if it's a late night time slot, have a more hardcore product.
We're not going to get that time slot. I don't think there's going to be an 11-1 time slot. At least not now.
What time?
I don't think they can get a time slot. The negotiations are kind of.
So wrestling's not hot, right?
Wrestling's not hot, and nobody really wants to add a new show.
How can that be on? I don't understand that on TNN though. Oh, you have to have the Dukes of Hazzard. You have to have the Grand Ole Opry backstage.
TNN doesn't want to be known. You have to have these
goofball TV shows on TNN, and you can't put a wrestling show on there. When wrestling
TNN doesn't want to be known as the
from averaging a .5.
And
TNN doesn't want to be known as the wrestling channel. No, you're right. It makes absolutely. But Brian, think about like Fox Sports Net. Okay, they have all these shows in primetime doing 0.3s. A bad wrestling show is going to triple that, but they won't put one on anyway. Why? I don't. Well, part of the problem is they can't sell the ads.
They don't want to be the wrestling channel.
But they can't sell
the pop channel.
Well, TNN's, I don't know. But what can I say?
I know what I could say.
They haven't signed that deal. They've been working on that deal. That was supposed to go up in June, and it looks like it's not going to happen.
Well, get Goldberg, get Flair. Things will turn around.
If they got Goldberg and Flair, they'd have a better shot at getting that deal.
There you go.
That was the thing that TNN wanted. See, the big stalemate was TNN wanted all the stars of WCW on that show. They didn't want WWF Light, and Vince, didn't want to spend the money for that, so that's where the negotiations fell through.
Well, look at them.
That's where the negotiations for that slot fell through.
So you can just say Vince lost TV because he wouldn't pay $6 million to bring a guy in.
And they've got a year worth of pay-per-views with Goldberg. The gate on Goldberg Austin alone.
Yeah.
Make it worth the while.
We all agree, and I hope that they do that. Yeah. I agree.
You brought up Dr. James Andrews and Hunter Histomi, right?
Yes.
You ever met him in person? You can meet him June 22nd at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Terry Taylor's Professional Wrestling Academy. He's got one of the rings, free from Vince. And Big Show's going to be down there, too. Go to the webpage, TomZenk.com. I've even got a special link to it. What did you think of Terry as a wrestler, Dave?
What is James Andrews doing there?
James Andrews? He's
Triple H. Triple H there. Triple H.
Terry Taylor blew my bicep because they were calling him Rooster in Philly.
Mm-hmm. I always liked Terry Taylor as a wrestler. He was one of those guys, he got a bad gimmick and it killed his career.
Exactly, but why would he do that to him? You know how talented this guy was? Okay, they say about
I know how talented Terry Taylor was. When he came to WWF, I think he was one of the 10 most talented guys in the whole business.
Listen,
but nobody knew it.
I was in the ring with Flair. I was in the ring with Terry Taylor. 2 matches I only had with Flair, okay? Guys who really kiss his ass, and I fought back, and he held me in a front face-off. Flair is the best because he could go out. You know how many kamikazes drinking and partying? He lives the part, okay? He still does. You need him. You need him just for morale for the boys. You know what I'm saying? Like Iron Sheik he used to be. But Terry Taylor, he had a lot of talent.
A lot more than you need Iron Sheik.
What?
You need him a lot more than you need Iron Sheik.
Yeah, just kidding. But, hey, baby, you got any game? Tommy Z? Hi, Bubba.
Z-Man, baby.
Yeah, Z-Man, baby.
They don't know what they're talking about because you're still the funniest on the Dave Meltzer show.
Well, this guy came on and hurt my feelings. I got to work a real job, and I didn't have time to prepare. But
I didn't know what he's talking about. Hey, Tom, I got a T-shirt for you. You could sell on your site.
What is it?
Zenk 911. Try to call me bitter.
Oh my goodness.
Paul, you're not bitter. You're just.
I'm entertaining, but listen. You write down everything you want to know. You send it to Meltzer. He knows my email address, and I'll answer all the questions. You want to hear some funny stuff? I got it. I got some really good stuff about Pillman. All the guys. Okay. I'm out of the business, so I can speak my mind like I didn't anyway. That's probably what buried me. Who cares?
That's why you're out of the business.
That's right. I didn't sell. I played it in reserve. I learned it all from Vince McMahon, but now I want to help him because he needs help. But anyway, Terry Taylor, he was one of the best hands I've ever been in the ring with, okay? So if you want to go to camp, you get many guys wanting to go to camp or learn how to be a professional wrestler? Brian?
Do you get many people calling?
Yeah, you get emails.
Yeah, we get calls and letters and that sort of thing.
What?
Yeah.
We get calls and letters and that sort of thing, people wanting to be a wrestler.
Oh, really? Whose camp did you go to?
I didn't go to a camp.
Really?
Buddy Wayne.
I kind of got in the back door.
Oh, really? Yeah. Literally?
Well, he's Jim Barnett's grandson. That gives him some rights.
My God, Brian.
I just dropped a name, and I was in.
Really? No. Oh, my God. Yeah, well, anyway.
Buddy Wayne.
Buddy Wayne? Yeah. I had the best of both worlds. I learned by a con, Ed Sharkey, who came from the Carnival, and then I had learned discipline from Vern Gagne and Brad Rangans. So I was prepared.
Okay, let's go to Dan in Chicago. Dan, what's going on?
Hey, Z-Man, what's going on?
Nothing's going on in my life. You're not going to rail on me, too, are you?
No, I'm not. You're doing cool.
Okay.
All right, guys, I got a couple of statements to make.
Yes.
I think it's kind of cool that they're going to put WCW guys on Raw, considering in '96, Memorial Day weekend, Scott Hall appeared on Nitro.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody think of that?
As far as it was Memorial Day weekend? No, now that you bring it up, yeah. But I never thought of that. That's
I
an
don't think they
interesting
thought of that
story.
either, but you're right.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You know, I mean, because I actually read up on OneWrestling.com. I don't know if any of you guys did, saying about bringing actually Scott Hall back. What would you think of that to the WWE?
Bring him all back.
They want to bring him. Hey, put it this way: I'm not against bringing him back for one shot, but I am very much against the idea that if they think that that's any kind of a solution, because it's a 43-year-old guy.
6 years later on the day?
Yeah, I mean, because you remember, I mean, the one difference is that, like, you know, I watched the Scott Hall tapes in New Japan, so I know what he's got in the tank.
What do you got?
And he's got a great personality, but you got, you know, they set a standard the last couple of nights as far as what a main event is, and Scott Hall can't do that. So,
right.
but I mean, as far as bringing him back for a short-term thing, of course they
Better
should.
or worse than The Undertaker?
A manager type deal.
Not even in the league, like 1/3 of the Undertaker.
Oh, no.
Really? How can that be?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, jeez.
He falls down doing moves. He doesn't got it. I mean, he's old.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
he doesn't stink like outright stink, but he's well below average.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so the best thing you can say is WWF, they've got to broaden their base, right? Their plan was in 5 years to be 50% wrestling. Now it's 95 or 100% wrestling since the failure of the XFL, right? Vince has to
No,
make
it's not. Their plan is to start branching into TV and radio, and that's just like with the XFL.
No, right
it always
now
scares
it's
me when they.
Right now it's 95, but after 5 years, I got this from CBS Market Watch.
Oh, I know. They say that they're going to be in the movies, and half their TV is going to be non-wrestling. Well, you know, hey, we're going to see a lot in the next couple weeks. We're going to see Manhunt. We're going to see Tough Enough. And if those things fly in the ratings, then good. And if they don't fly in the ratings, then, you know, that's his new XFLs.
Tough Enough will fly.
Okay, well, Tough Enough flies good.
You went on record, Brian, right?
Tough Enough is still wrestling, though. Manhunt is not wrestling.
What was that, Tom?
You went on record as saying that you think it'll fly, huh?
Yes, I am saying that.
Okay.
Because I have this incredible desire to see it for some reason, and all my friends are saying the same thing. I cannot
Well,
wait for
then
Tough Enough.
maybe it'll fly. Although, well, we'll see. I mean, it's Tough Enough, but Tough Enough's still a wrestling show, though.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
But this,
the odds are a lot better when Vince stays within the wrestling realm than when
Exactly.
he gets out of it.
yeah, he's not done well in legitimate businesses, okay? And the booking is stale, but this week it's a positive. That's all it's a positive.
This week's a big positive, for sure.
Exactly. So they're turning the corner.
And hopefully they'll follow up. I mean, hey, the WCW invasion done right. You know, I mean, it's a potential big one.
All I'm saying, it's there. It's knocking at the door, and like everyone, and they're picking up on it. You turn lemons into lemonade. It's there. It's wide open for the pick, and he can, you know, he's a billionaire. Like Brian, what'd you say? He's got $240 million left of investor
If he
money.
bought Goldberg, would it be $244 million?
244. He's got 250 right now.
Bring Goldberg in.
Yeah. Everyone
Everyone
wants to
says-
see it.
Sting, too.
They've been wanting to see it for the last 3 years.
Yep.
Sting is WCW.
Who?
Oh,
Not Sting, though. Not Sting.
Why not
There's
Sting?
also-
He's
Sting's
the
a
only guy
waste
who
of
hasn't
money.
moved back and forth.
Sting's a waste of money, though.
No one cares.
Yeah,
They went down, right? He was on top when he went down, right?
Yeah,
now
the only
Sting's older,
I never
he
hear
has no
anyone going, "Oh, I want to see
physique."
Sting against Steve Austin." The only one you hear is Goldberg.
Older. What about Flair? You guys want a 55-year-old guy in there?
Not in the
Yeah, but
ring.
Flair can
No.
play a character role, and Sting
Yes.
cannot.
Yeah,
Well,
and
the
he's
difference
got,
is, okay, Flair can do the promos for Bill Goldberg. It's an awesome marquee combination.
that's right.
I mean, if you say Flair managing Sting, I don't get the same vibe.
Nope, you're right. You're dead on. He's got an aura about him. He dresses in a $1,000 suit. You know, he looks good. He looks perfect all the time. He can talk better than anyone else. There's just something
That's the
about
key
him.
right there.
And you know what, guys?
That's the key is he can talk better than anyone else.
That's right.
The other cool thing is, too, you mentioned about the suits, Tom.
Yep.
What about, they could do an angle where you say Flair was managing Goldberg. Flair turns on Goldberg to manage The Rock. Because with The Rock and how he dresses, he wants to go with somebody flashy and everything.
Rock would have to go heel. I mean, if the time's right for Rock to go heel. But, I think the Austin heel turn and the Goldberg heel turn and the Sting heel turn should be a real lesson about not screwing up and making certain guys heels that the fans don't want to be heels. And Rock fits into that category as well.
Right now.
What?
Austin is just a jerk right now. I hate him.
Well, it doesn't matter if they boo him. First of all, in every city, from what I'm gathering, he comes out and they all cheer him and then he turns them, which is always bad when they cheer him first. But the numbers are the numbers are the numbers.
All right,
if the numbers were through the roof, I would tell you that Austin's working great, even if everybody cheered him.
Yeah, listen.
Because the numbers are your answer. Everything else isn't, and the numbers are just very sad. And it's because nobody buys tickets to see the heel Steve Austin, and people bought tickets to see the babyface Steve Austin, and so it was a bad turn.
He had his deal. listen, they set him up to fail, okay? It was a bad deal. He's got a bad neck. Who's going to want to... I wouldn't want to work with...
They didn't set him up they didn't set him up to fail. He just... they made a bad call.
Yeah, okay.
It was a setup to fail, but it wasn't something they did.
Okay, but...
They didn't want to kill... They didn't want to kill him with Rock on. They didn't want to... The last thing they want to do is kill Austin. I mean, like, there will be a time...
I couldn't believe when they did that.
Where they will kick Steve Austin out the door, like, as we all know.
Yeah.
There will come that time, but this isn't... Not the week after that The Rock's going to be gone all summer. That wasn't the time.
But how did they... Didn't you guys... and they were, it's good. Okay, WCW's demise. It's like, what, you got to cheer that? I thought it was terrible.
What
and these guys were like, it was a great WrestleMania. No. It was
WrestleMania? I thought WrestleMania was awesome.
They could have showcased the WCW if they had a plan. Certain guys are gold, but, people, how did they fumble the ball?
They weren't ready.
But what I'm
saying, only had it for a week, and there was no way,
They just weren't ready.
What I'm saying is, isn't there usually a downturn half of WrestleMania, and they build angles, and then the summer's kind of slow, and then they build...
Depends on the year. Some years the summers are big. Last summer was huge.
Yeah, but they could sure spark it with the Goldberg return, couldn't they? And Ric Flair.
They could spark it huge with the Goldberg return. We're totally out of time.
Okay, all right, guys.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks for everybody for calling. Thanks for everyone for emailing. We will be back here Tuesday live. Don't forget, Monday we'll have Bobby Heenan on. Tuesday we'll be live. And good night, Tom.
Good night.
Good night, Brian. And I hope everyone has a real good Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you all on Tuesday.